Creepy Obsession, everyone. Welcome to the Bad Reading Podcast. My name is Atlas Novak, and with me today is my co-host,
Chris Hedlinger.
And today, it being the Friday before Mother's Day, we have brought in, she carried me for 9 months in her belly and everywhere else for a long time after that. Please welcome my mother, Celeste Tubman.
Hello.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Ad.
How's COVID-19 treating you?
I think I'm having a better time. Sort of like me in 8th grade, you know, when everyone had a miserable time and it was the highlight of my life, and it's been downhill ever since. Well, the COVID's kind of like that, you know.
It could be a lot worse, for sure.
Yeah, because I'm not working as much as I would like to, but I also think, I don't know, I think it's a very interesting time, and people are, I mean, it's really miserable, and obviously, especially the way you die.
The way you die?
The way you die, yeah, when you have COVID.
Oh.
It's very painful and not pretty and scary, because I spend my time reading what the doctors and the nurses
Me too.
write about.
It's really interesting. I think that it's also fascinating that there's now like a cutaneous form of it, and I'm like, is this?
Wait, what?
There is though.
Yeah, there's
the
a cutaneous
COVID
form.
toes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the COVID toes.
With the young people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying that they keep adding symptoms to it.
That's what happens with a new virus. Medicine is a self-correcting science.
Well, what is it you do for the people out there? Because I know what you do.
Let's talk about All About Eve. Isn't that why we're here?
Killing Eve?
Yeah.
All About Eve is a movie.
Oh, right. Okay. Well,
okay. Fine. So
Killing Eve only because I stayed up. Well, you know.
Yeah.
I sold my television in 1972.
During
Watergate.
Okay.
Because I was obsessed. And then his older sister was raised without TV. His dad had a TV in his office, but it's just not part of my life. Mm-hmm. And until I had them. And he came out with his umbilical cord attached to a screen, I believe.
He did.
Didn't he?
Yeah. Everything
everything. Movies, yeah.
My entire childhood can be summed up into one sentence. Pop culture, grumble, grumble.
Right. So, anyway, I was kind of brought back to TV kicking and screaming with them, but it definitely is infinitely better than it was in the 50s.
Oh,
is it really?
In the 50s, that they called it the golden age of television back then, but it's all kind of white people and...
Well, I was the youngest of 5, so my exposure was all my siblings completely trashing anything that I liked.
Oh.
So it was like... I wasn't allowed to have an attachment to anything, is what it felt like.
Interesting.
Until I discovered film.
Okay.
So anyway, I think TV is, you know, you've shown me Scrubs and what's that other Doctors one, where the guy's really he's not crazy.
House?
Yeah.
That was Phoebe. Phoebe showed you House.
I like that. And then Fleabag, my favorite,
mm-hmm.
and not all about
Killing
Eve. That's about it. That's my exposure to modern day television.
We watched Sex Education and Russian Doll together.
Oh, no, not Russian Doll.
Or part of Russian Doll.
I don't even remember.
It's like Groundhog Day, where she keeps waking up.
Which I've never seen.
Okay.
Sorry.
So every time she dies, she wakes up in the middle of this birthday party she's at, and then she has to figure out.
I remember that.
Okay, never mind.
But anyway, I had watched All About Eve when it came out. What, in 2018?
Yeah.
The first season.
Killing Eve,
and then Atlas asked me to do this, and I got all stressed out. So last night I stayed up and watched the second season, but I didn't make it to the last episode.
I haven't even watched the second season because you and I watched the first one together. And then I just kind of forgot about it.
You didn't do your homework for this session?
I kind of did my Wikipedia.
See, I do a bunch of research every time we do something.
What, and I do nothing? I do the Twitter and...
You do a lot.
I'm just trying to live my life, man.
It's good, though. I mean, it's definitely worth seeing. that woman is amazing. Her face.
Sandra Oh or whoever plays Villanelle, I forgot her name.
Villanelle. Her face, her ability to express emotion is extraordinary.
Agreed. If you like that, I recommend. Well, depending on how much stomach for gore you have.
Jodie Comer is the actress.
It depends. Quentin Tarantino, yes. Killing Eve, yes. It has to be a certain.
It's like tasteful gore. Then you'd probably like the first season of Hannibal.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not as bad as it seems on the surface.
Hello, Clarice.
Mads Mikkelsen does a really good job with playing a version of Hannibal. So
of course I don't know who that is.
Hannibal Lecter.
No, I don't know who the actor is.
Oh.
He plays a lot of villains that have eye problems.
Yeah, that about sums it up. With eye problems, like kind of twitchy.
Well, sorta. He plays in Casino Royale. He plays someone who like cries blood all the time. In that one, in Doctor Strange, he plays someone whose like eyes just like kind of turn into like he's got like ash all over his eyes.
Casino Royale, wasn't that a
James Bond movie?
Yeah.
Ash all over his eyes. Just he's like got a good smoky eye going on, and he's like
real smoky though, because it kind of looks like his like skin.
Mascara. I don't know how makeup works. So this here story that we found was on Archive of Our Own, and it's called "Imagine Me and You," in parentheses, and our parents. It's by I'm Unbreakable Dude. And we'll put the link to it in the description, so if you want to find it for yourself, also to give the artist credit. You've heard it all before. And the summary is, the chemistry between Eve and Villanelle is obvious and immediate, so it's awkward when they find out their parents are getting married. Okay.
Subnote, it said, the season 3 poster was just begging for this, underlined. If you have read my other fics, you probably don't trust me when I say there will be no murder. Truthfully, it's hard for me to write a Villanelle who doesn't kill anyone, but I swear this one is going to be 100% indulgent fun.
But it is fun.
Yeah.
Watching her. I mean, the story, even though
people
get murdered.
Yeah. The thing they're referring to, the begging for this, it's a link to a Twitter where, like, Villanelle is kind of cuddled up to Eve's face. I just kind of... And then it says, imagine me and you under it. So that's a link. I guess we'll put that on the Twitter. But
yeah, but if you had seen the second season, that's not so far off.
I read about it, so I know what happens.
Feels weird getting dunked on by your own mom.
I feel so powerful. Are you kidding? I was so happy to watch Phoebe, who kept saying, I regret doing this. This is because that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
Until I watched the other person.
Yeah.
Because Phoebe, I mean, I would react the same way if I felt in chains, without tangents. So I Phoebe didn't really try the tangents. She just complained like I do.
That's kind of what it's for. You're supposed to be like, this is dumb, or to complain. Like, we're not, most of the time it's comedians who are used to just kind of, jumping on the ball. Other times we've had writers here who are,
recluses.
Pardon me. I have a note about the third paragraph. I don't know why I'm making them British. The third paragraph, something like that. All right, so at the beginning, there's a little thing at the top. Life has a funny way of sneaking up on you. Life has a funny, funny way of helping you out. Quote, in quotes, Alanis Morissette.
Apparently she said that.
Isn't it ironic? Upon her arrival at Logan Airport, Eve has no family waiting to pick her up. Instead, she calls herself a ride to her friend Bill's apartment, where he was graciously letting her stay for the time being. She wants to avoid staying at home at any cost, not just because she's grown up now. After all, Kenny still lives at home while he works through his PhD at MIT. But even with him as a buffer, Eve knows sparks will fly between her and Carolyn if they spend much more time together than necessary. For this reason, Bill's pull-out couch is infinitely more appealing to her than her old childhood bedroom. Bill was the bald guy, right?
He was her partner that got killed,
Oh, right.
that she adored.
Bill, no.
Yeah, and he used to be her boss, I think, initially.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It isn't a long stop at Bill's, though. He only says a quick hello and drops her suitcase before immediately heading out to grab a bite of non-airport food. Then it's off to the club. Bill doesn't judge, only gives a knowing wink and a good luck. He knows Eve well enough to know that she needs a self-indulgent night to prepare for tomorrow's family drama, when she will meet her soon-to-be stepfather for the first time over brunch. Even though she's tired and stiff from the flight, she's still on LA time, so the night is young. Her discomfort gives way to a tingle of excitement as she enters the club and is greeted by the pounding music, the pulsing bodies, and the flashing of red lights to the beat. The song pumping through the subwoofers is unrecognizable to her, but nonetheless a welcome distraction from the pity party she's been throwing herself all day.
So I don't know if this is still a thing, but when I still went clubbing, I remember America was just discovering K-pop. So I went into a club and they were playing a K-pop song, and I was like,
Give me the year for this.
shoot,
Ballpark it.
I don't even know what a K-pop.
Korean pop.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Korean pop music, 2012.
Okay. And?
Oh, and I was just really surprised and excited that they were playing a song that I knew that was from Korea.
Oh.
But and everyone was jamming to it, and like some people knew it. This must be prefaced. This was a gay club, so maybe they were above the,
Oh. Got it.
ahead of the curve in finding like good dance music. So
I'm having an argument with my roommate right now. Do you think Chris, Mom, Mr. Clean is gay?
I think he's omnisexual.
My roommate thinks he's straight because there was a Super Bowl commercial where he has like a sexy dance with a housewife, and then it turns out it's the husband the whole time, and he's like,
What?
What are you doing? It turns out to be like some kind of fantasy that she's having.
Oh, so she wants to fuck
She wants to
Mr. Clean.
do the deepness with Mr. Clean.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is her wish fulfillment. Then that doesn't say anything about his sexuality. That just says that she wants to bang Mr. Clean.
All I'm saying is that earring has to mean something, doesn't it?
No. It means what culture he came from.
What culture did he come from?
I don't know. I always imagined it was Egypt or something like that when I was a little girl.
Well, I can tell you, on my mom's side of the family, which is from Peru, it's cultural for girls when they're babies to get their ears pierced.
Right, yeah, that I knew. But
So.
this is about a guy.
This is about a guy, which is very different.
Hispanic people in Mexico pierce the little girls' ears as well.
I'm very happy that they did, because now I can go for like months not wearing earrings and I can still put them in very easily.
Not me. I had to beg and then disobey and go get it done and then be impatient and take my earring out and it closed up, and then I had to be taken to the doctor and have it done properly.
That's messed up. This is like...
It's not uncommon.
In the 60s, 70s, or...
When was I born? I don't remember. Something like that.
I know
60s.
I know the answer to it, but I'm not going to say.
But wait, I have a big picture question.
Yeah.
Who are these people that write fan fiction?
Anyone.
Are they like frustrated or writers, or people who want to be writers, or are emotionally moved by something and feel compelled to write?
I think
yes
that's the
to
most,
all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's...
But is it under a heading? You can like Google fan fiction and you will get all this.
We usually get it from either
Didn't even know it was an
fanfiction.net
entity.
or Archive of Our Own, and you can search by property. So you can search by TV show, movie, book, whatever. And it's been... that's what allows this podcast to be as like widespread topic-wise as it is. The only time we ever had a problem finding a story was usually if the title is so either complicated or vague that it kind of gets jumbled up with everything else.
Oh, now wait a minute. I wanted to do better
The
things.
vague. The words better things are the title of so many fan fiction stories. Like I put better
just
things
as an almost like an adjective. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And I found a Twilight story, I found a Harry Potter story, I found a Rugrats story.
right.
There's
Okay, well, the next assignment is
Yeah.
you guys are going to write the fan fiction.
I,
And I'll come back for better things because I want you to
Yeah.
see it.
So you want us to write Better Things fan fiction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can't deny that I've written fan fiction before.
But have you seen Better Things?
I have not.
Oh my God.
I was going
It's
to.
so
until
Phoebe
I
and
started looking.
I
Oh, really?
I cannot.
I thought Fleabag was so Phoebe and you.
No, because this is about a mother
Yeah.
and her 3 daughters that she's raising on her own.
Yeah, like we've done one episode where this is before Chris showed up, where Nick and our guest didn't show up, so I took a story of mine from college, and I just read it to Nick. And
But you just had it carrying around with you? Oh, it was on your...
On
Well,
my
it's on the
computer.
it's on the
so,
internet.
Our Terrible Writings Part 1, if you're looking for it, but it's just. It wasn't a fanfic of anything, but I think that is kind of neat every once in a
I
while.
have a fan fiction if we want to do that eventually.
Our Terrible Writings Part 2? Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
It's a Sabriel and James Bond crossover because for anyone who
Whoever
likes
pitched
Sabriel,
James Bond, that'd be a perfect, like, what a twist. Like,
well, they'd also have to be familiar with Sabriel, which is a book series.
I don't know Sabriel.
Nor do I.
It's by Garth Nix. I highly recommend it, especially now that we have a quarantine going on. The audiobook is fantastic because Tim Curry reads it.
Awesome.
He is the best audiobook narrator I have ever listened. I've listened to many audiobooks because
Even better than Stephen Merchant? Doesn't he do, like, the Harry Potter ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. But yes, Tim Curry is hands down the best audiobook. Like,
What's the
reader.
genre of the...
It's
series?
fantasy.
Yeah, I'm not a fantasy person.
Well, it's also about basically this journey of a girl who comes into her own power, essentially. So, I mean, it is fantasy,
That
but
is a super vague premise.
it is.
Yeah, sounds like
That could
Wonder Woman.
That could be Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. A woman comes into her own power by experiencing menstruation for the first time.
There's also a very snarky talking cat, and again, Tim Curry voicing a snarky talking cat is my favorite thing in the whole world. If I could listen to that forever, if like all of my cats just had Tim Curry's voice.
Are you
would be
listening to
the best.
CW? That's what you should have done instead of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That's who you
Yes!
should have gotten to voice Salem.
Agreed. More Tim Curry cats.
All right.
No, I was raised on Grimm's fairy tales.
Oh.
And who's that poet?
Edgar Allan Poe.
No, at Christmas my mother would play. He's either Welsh or English, really depressing and...
Still sounds like Edgar Allan Poe.
Well, yeah, that
Except
too,
not
Edgar
Welsh or
Allan
English.
Poe.
Nevermore.
It'll come to me later.
For some reason, my brain went Plutarch, but he's not English, Welsh, or depressing. So, all right. Eve is between jobs, between apartments, and 40 is approaching faster than ever. Then, in case she didn't feel like enough of a disaster already, her mother had to go and get engaged before her. She makes a beeline for the bar, where there's a crowd about 3 deep of strong-armed Bostonians and clueless tourists. Eve isn't sure which group is more irritating. Dusting off her born-and-bred New England assertiveness, Eve shoves her way to the first row, but then it's yet another battle to get the bartender's attention, as he seems to want to serve every fake ID holding college student before her. "Hello," she wants to scream. "Real adult here with real adult problems. Get a drink in my hand before I snap." Want to take over?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right as she's contemplating murdering the 20-year-old in a polo who ordered half a dozen drinks for all of his friends, one of the bartenders makes sweet, delicious eye contact with her. Eve opens her mouth to hoarsely shout her order, Long Island iced tea, and don't judge me because it's been a fucking day. When she hears a voice from behind her say, I literally, is that,
Negronis?
I think so?
Vaguely racist. All right, we've hit a milestone here on bad reading.
I guess this
Cool.
is actually a drink, probably. It's probably black.
Let's find out. What
It has licorice in it.
it
Oh,
does.
gross.
No, I'm just made it
Oh,
up.
It probably does. You're probably right.
So a
Or
Negroni.
anisette. That's the
Yeah,
liqueur that-
anise, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so a Negroni cocktail recipe takes
That doesn't look black. It's just like brown color.
gin, Campari, vermouth, and an orange peel.
And the color is brown?
Kinda, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can see that.
Yeah, that looks more more like the color of bourbon. Gin is clear, like vodka.
Yeah.
Vermouth is clear.
Vermouth is there, so it must be the Campari.
Campari is
orange.
Sure. Yeah, fine.
Whoever is behind me better have good health insurance, Eve thinks as she whirls around to confront the offender. But the sight that greets her immediately makes her budding hometown trash talk evaporate. Standing behind her, only an inch or two away in this pulsing crowd, is the most attractive woman Eve has ever seen. Blonde hair with a slight wave cascading down her shoulders, a gray pinstripe blazer open over a low-cut peach tank top, sleek trousers that look like they could be from the men's section, and yet they don't hide any of her feminine figure.
Oh yeah, her clothes are beyond cool.
They are.
That's also why I love it.
That's like a plot point where she like sends Eve this outfit that's.
Oh yeah,
it's very
clothes
flattering.
are definitely thread all through that series.
Hooray for puns! The
the
clothes are kind of like a character almost.
Well, they enhance the characters.
Yeah, no, but like I like when shows do that, where like something becomes it's like so baked into the show that it enhances it, like kind of like how Scrubs will have the music being so important for what's going on, and like the camera is almost a character.
The music should always be important for what's going on. Like if you don't have a good score, you lose a lot of what you could have.
Yes, but also they like you associate them so much with the scenes. Like if you try and watch it on Hulu, they didn't get to keep the licensing for a lot of the songs.
Oh, really?
So a lot of the scenes will have similar music, but it's not the song that goes with the scene, and it's very jarring. Like, I will pause, go look up the scene on YouTube with the original music, and just watch that part.
Oh, that's like film editing, because the director always picks music, and then they can't often buy it. So that scene with them in the bathtub with the candles, I saw over and over and over. When I saw the film, I said, what the hell? This was never as good.
What was the original music?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Well, of course.
Come on. I'm older than you.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that
my
tracks.
My short-term memory, my long.
That's long-term memory.
I know it is. But my head has so many songs and films in it. Oh, and the music in Killing Eve is often, what do you call it? Not contrary. Opposition. Is very powerful because it's the opposite of the emotion that's going on. Like, she'll be murdering somebody and they'll be really happy. Yeah.
It's like that scene in American Psycho with the hip to be square scene.
Didn't see American Psycho, did I?
I don't know. It came out in, I think, the early 90s or late 80s or something like that. But he's like telling, he's a stock trader and he murders people.
That's it.
Pretty straightforward.
No, I wouldn't see it.
The most famous scene in the movie is he is telling one of his friends about the Huey Lewis and the News album Sports, and he's like, this is their magnum opus of the album Hip to Be Square, and he is just going on like the whole song has a crisp, clear sound, and he starts playing, and he goes, hey Paul turns around and he kills him with an axe, while like this upbeats sort of like, look how cool it is to exercise and watch what I eat and that kind of thing. It's very jarring.
It always just makes me think of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Always sounds like it's going to be the soundtrack to some kind of a horrible murder to me now. Just because of like my college friends and I and the joke that we made that was just the song that we're going to play if we ever murder someone. And now I can't listen to that song without thinking someone's being murdered right now.
Do you guys know the classical music song In the Hall of the Mountain King?
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that has been played so much with a chaotic, like, knockdown, drag out either fight or disaster going on screen. I now associate it with that instead of what it seemed to be originally for, was just this kind of like...
It's in the Hall of the Mountain King.
Yeah,
I always
you're just
imagine
having dinner, like...
Oh, I always imagined it to be like they're goblins chasing like main characters.
Yeah, chase
around.
scene is what I
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah, for that song.
Music.
Just in the comments, put what you feel about In the Hall of the Mountain King.
Yeah. Or I can't remember. There's like a YouTube channel where the whole thing is it's a guy playing different instruments, and he has this intense stare that he keeps at you while he's playing piano off to the side here. And I can't stop looking at it because he's like, can you tell the difference between a $10 piano and a $5,000 piano? And he's just like...
Fun fact, it doesn't matter. You can just get an electric piano now.
Sure, yeah. But it's all about the acoustics, man. Record players, vinyl.
I have an electric piano at home. We also have an antique piano that actually has ivory keys, but nobody. That's what I actually learned to play piano on. And then at one point, like it's out of tune now, and no one has ever. I mean, we haven't had to tune it again because we got an electric piano, and it's just easier to play it. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you can't tune them after a certain point.
Really?
Yeah. That might be what's going on with that piano. Occasionally, someone will go down and play it and be like, "Oh God," and then just be like, "Nope, I'm gonna go upstairs and play the electric piano."
So the one that we used to have at
the Baby Grand.
Yeah, the Baby Grands, and then you sold it at. Was it a Euclid or the house you live in now?
No, that was an upright for Phoebe. She started on an electric piano, and then the teacher said, get her a real one. So I got an upright Steinway.
Wow.
And then I sold it on eBay to pay for your tuition.
Really?
Well, part of your tuition. It hardly paid for the whole thing.
Believe me, I appreciate it.
It's hard to sell used pianos, especially in the last...
Yeah.
Whatever, 10
years.
Because everyone has just a keyboard or an electric piano
nobody
now.
Plays music.
Why can't there just be
so
that
sad,
one guy
really?
who's like the shitty hipster but for pianos? He's like...
Because pianos are not portable. That's why.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is why I make a point of one of my D&D characters plays piano, but he has like a portable piano.
Oh, that's
but he can summon it. That's great.
Well, that's way better than I did a campaign once where we had a bard who had a horse-drawn carriage with a grand piano on the back of it.
Oh, that's great.
Ugh, I miss that guy. He had to move home. I forgot your name though, so wherever you are. This is like 5 years ago when we first moved to 32nd Street, and I had the D&D campaign in the back house.
That was 10 years ago that we moved there.
Oh, wow.
No, I mean 5 years ago.
Oh, when you were living back there?
Yeah, it was after I started comedy, but not very far in.
Right.
Because it was Dominic, Gabe, that guy, and one other comic whose name I also forget.
Yeah.
And then...
What class did you play?
I honestly forget. I think it's a mage, but... All I remember is the bard with the horse-drawn carriage.
Oftentimes you do have one character that shines.
Yeah, he's the breakout, you know? All right, let's keep going.
Okay. All right. She looks like the richest dude on Wall Street stumbled out of work and got hit with a fairy tale curse that turned him into a woman. Then he looked down, shrugged, and decided to club anyway. Eve can't help but stare, transfixed. At some point she realizes her mouth is open and it takes all of her power of will to just close it again. The woman is staring back at her shamelessly, as if to say, yes, I did just steal that bartender from you, and what are you going to do about it? Just as Eve is starting to recover her wits and preparing to throw hands, the bartender returns with 2 chilled highball glasses filled with deep scarlet liquid and garnished with an orange peel. Oh, there we go.
Is. Yeah.
The blonde woman says, oh, God, Eve's voice. She always speaks in French and other languages.
They're in the U.S. now. She
right.
can be in English.
Okay.
Sandra Oh is not a very easy person to imitate.
She's not.
Yeah.
But then Eve has just such a flowing melodic voice.
Is it mandatory that you try to do their voices?
We try. It was easier with Nick because he has a veritable Swiss Army knife of voices he can use. I usually will just assign a voice to it, whether it works or not. Mm-hmm. Like last week or a few weeks ago with Legend of Zelda, I gave one of them like
Ganondorf.
I gave Ganondorf Jay Peterman's voice from Seinfeld, where he's just got this kind of overconfident white man, like just sort of strong chin, that kind of thing.
And
as long as it's consistent.
Was it? I did a vaguely like German accent for like the townsfolk, even though obviously they were from like some kind of
fantasy race.
Yeah.
Thing. It as long as it's recognizable that you know who's talking, it doesn't matter all that much. Like for our terrible writings, I did Bane and Batman. No reason, just worked.
All right, I'll just try to do a melodic.
Oh, I see. Recognizable as its own character, not recognizable as the character that you're referring to.
Yeah, or just
Yes.
as long as if it's like two people going back and forth, so you just know who's who.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Yeah. No, I actually found. Is Nick watching?
Probably. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hi,
Miss
Nick.
you. I found it to be, after the time, distracting. But that's because I didn't know who the hell any of those people are. So, when you made some comment about being in your own family, nobody understands you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how I feel like in the world. And that Nick doing the voices, and then you guys would go, oh, that's so-and-so. And he'd go, yeah. And I go, who are they? Let's get on with bad reading. the wire's going under your...
Oh.
Under the dog.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Chris's service dog is just off screen.
In
here.
case he goes off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Takes off like a rocket.
He definitely will not.
I can tell.
All right. Put it on my tab. What is that accent? Russian? She then scoops up both glasses from the counter and offers one to Eve. As Eve reaches for the cocktail, the woman pulls it away. One condition, she says, the light of mischief in her eyes. Let your hair down first. Oh, I did love that scene.
Me doing that or that scene?
The scene where she's like, keep it down, where they're like in the bathroom.
Oh. God, yeah.
It's just, there's so much like undercurrent of like tension and like power in that. I don't know, it was great. Anyway, you can't expect to have any fun tied up all... you can't expect to have any fun all tied up like that. Eve wrinkles her nose, half indignant, half flattered at the brazen flirting, but obliges and lets down her hair, which is overdue for a wash, and then takes the Negroni and takes a large, blissful sip.
Wait, is Eve in the tour too? Is that why her hair is in need of a wash?
I think it's because she just got off of an airplane flight in this fic.
Right. But also...
But also my hair needs to be washed.
Everybody's does.
No, that's true of airplanes.
Oh, where just somehow your hair becomes greasy just by being
Yes,
in
just by being in
Absolutely.
an airplane, yeah. 100% agree.
Around all those people.
Yeah.
That's just like, no matter how long the flight is, as soon as you get off, you need a shower.
I took a flight to Oregon back in February, and it was like about an hour and 45 minutes, and just... You're
a guy.
instantly disgusting.
Yeah.
Get off the plane. I was like, look, I know it's Eugene, and I know everyone is a dirty hippie, but I just got here, man. You know? Shout outs to Dan, who lives in Eugene. Hope you're well.
Oh, right. Eve wrinkles her nose, half indignant, half flattered at the brazen flirting, but obliges and lets her hair down, which is overdue for a wash, and then takes the Negroni and takes... There are too many ands in the sentence. And then takes a large, blissful sip. Been a while since someone bought me a drink. A tragedy, the woman replies, taking a sip of her own drink and sticking her other hand in her trouser pockets. She turns and begins sliding through the crowd, away from the bar, and Eve stands dumbfounded at her back, retreating, until she turns and looks at Eve. The message is clear, so Eve starts after her. Popcorn.
Eve shoves through the jostling sea of bodies to follow the woman over to the small love seat next to a low table in the corner of the room. A noisy club isn't Eve's favorite place to make conversation. Is it anybody's?
God, it's the worst.
I know, right? But Eve supposes it would be rude to ghost this woman after she bought Eve the drink, so she'll chance some small talk. Raising her voice over the pulse of the music, she asks, Not to be rude, but where are you from?
Yeah, exactly.
Here and there, the woman replies in her husky accent. Grew up in Russia, and we traveled a lot. Are you local? I grew up here, Eve says, then left for college. Spent a little while in Chicago, a couple years in Canada. Then for the last 6 years, I was in L.A. You didn't like it there, the woman says, inferring from Eve's tone. Winter sucks, but wildfires are worse.
Hey.
Rake the forest floor. It should be fine. You lived all over the place when you were a kid. Is winter worse than wildfires?
No.
No?
No.
No?
No, because winter, you can, it's not that you can control it, but you can accommodate. Whereas fires, it's, you're pretty helpless.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. You can't really, call your congressman about a fire. Can you lobby against the, half of the 405 being on fire? Thanks.
We can, however, call and ask for more support for firefighters.
That is true. We can. Call your congressman.
About firefighters.
Literally, more information. I mean, it's just another example of humans, trying to fix something in the wrong, in a destructive way.
Yeah.
Because all that burning makes it, control burning.
Yeah.
I don't know. They say it's better to just let the fire rage. And it will all come back.
Yeah, the little bit. Well, the smaller fires, because they stop all of the smaller fires when a big fire happens. There's just so much stuff that it's extra destructive, and it'll just go everywhere because you didn't have all of the little tiny fires that would have naturally occurred.
Or the controlled burns, or whatever those are called, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about controlled burns, to be honest.
Me neither. I just know that every year, the 405 will look like a star for about 8 months, and then there's that 4 months during the rainy season where it's like, oh my god, it's green,
so beautiful,
and I can feel my depression melting away. Oh, it's on fire again. Damn it.
I remember one time I was driving home from Torrance when I was working at RVA, and I was like, man, the smog is really bad today. And then I would think it was the change, to get onto the 5, where it's that one lane that goes onto the 5 that's on the left.
I don't go on the 5 very often.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, I don't remember which freeway you're going from, but as soon as I got on there, the entire hill was on fire, and I was like, oh, it's not smog, it's smoke. Okay. And I just kept driving.
Yeah, now I feel better.
And I felt kind of better, but I was also like, this freeway is going to be closed. And then I got home and it was like, freeway is closed. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Made it through at the last second.
Exactly.
It's especially weird when you're in your car and you just kind of see everything changing around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yesterday, at the time of recording this, I went to go get lunch for everyone at our office, and I was driving back, and I was like, there's a lot of honking. I was like, is there road rage going on, and who's the guy with the flag? I ended up in the middle of an Armenian genocide remembrance parade.
Oh, God.
But
cars sprayed with 1915 Armenian flags. People are like, yeah, I was like, I'm just trying to get back to work, man.
But fun fact, Alice was on the phone with me at this time because I had to fix the upload.
For the Zelda episode. Sorry about that. That was a month ago.
But he was like, I think I'm in an Armenian genocide pride parade. And I was just like, genocide pride? Alrighty then. So.
And the medal for most poorly worded sentence goes to...
So everyone, genocide pride Atlas.
Come on, man. The worst part was I wasn't mad at the parade. I just knew that I didn't belong there. I was like, guys, I'm sorry, I crashed your parade by accident. One guy gave me the evil eye, like, what are you doing here, lady? I was like, again, just trying to get through. I'm sorry.
There was so much honking in the background.
Yeah.
Oh my
Well, in the old days, when people got married, people honked.
Really?
Oh, really?
Big time.
What? So you would just be driving through town, and by the church, you just hear honking? Yeah. It's annoying that you can't have, emotional honks. Every honk is the same.
Right. Yeah.
There needs to be a hey man, light screen. Please go ahead and
that's where you go, doot, doot.
But it still sounds like the
Honking.
honking. There needs to be like another button that's just like a tinkling sound, like
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Like emojis for honks.
Oh,
Call Elon and tell him.
Yeah.
in Japan, they actually, if somebody lets you in, like if you need to merge lanes and it's like trafficy and somebody lets you in, it's actually polite to turn on your the what's that one, like the
Lights?
emergency lights.
Oh, yeah.
So you turn it on, and it's like arigato. So you turn it on for 4 blinks, and then you turn it off. But if you did that in the U.S., people would get super mad because it's not a cultural thing here.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had a friend who was a Japanese transfer student, and he was like driving, and I was like, no, don't do that while you're driving. He was like, oh, that's not something you do here. I was like, why would we do
wave.
it? Yes.
Yeah, the
Do the
wave.
thank
You
you
just
wave.
wave.
And that's going to be the new handshake, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
The bow. I like that. I mean, right now it's just the elbow bump.
No, then
Which-
didn't you hear what's his name?
Fauci?
Cuomo.
Oh, Cuomo.
Oh, Cuomo.
Say, if you're touching elbows, you're not 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but
No, I like that.
I like that. The touching elbows kind of makes me feel like the Fonz almost, which doesn't.
Well, then you can just do finger guns.
Hey,
And then you can stay 6 feet away.
Yeah.
But we are also borrowing from Asian culture and the wearing of masks thing, because that's already a thing there. Like if you're sick, you wear a mask.
I hope this stays after
Me too.
and then it's over. I like or no, just like where it's polite to wear a mask if you're
Sick,
Well,
yeah.
I took one of my.
Huh?
Oh, this.
yeah.
I should have worn it.
Yeah.
And drew red lips.
Oh.
Yeah, there's so many. Like this one's a Star Trek one. I will give more information on where I got this one at the end of the episode. But
There's an Etsy store. It's cool.
yeah. So yeah, if you want to
Yeah.
get a cool mask.
Cool masks is. Let's see.
Where were we?
Winter sucks, wildfires are worse. Eve says, taking the chance to carefully examine the woman one more time. It's utterly impossible to tell how old she is. From her face, she looks maybe 26, 27, but she carries herself with the confidence of someone much older. What brings you here? Eve can feel her forehead tighten instinctively as she thinks about it. My mother is getting married. I meant, what brings you here to this club tonight? My mother is getting married, Eve repeats. This elicits the laugh from a woman, a high, pealing laugh that rings above the rumble of the subwoofers. You're not happy for her? Not when she's getting married before me, Eve says, but it's typical. She's always undermining me. It's not like Eve couldn't get married if she wanted to. She was engaged once, after all, to a really, really nice man named Nico. He was handsome, kind, reliable, considerate, mature, and Eve could not bear the idea of spending the rest of her life with him.
Love that.
That's a great line. One morning, she left her ring on the nightstand with an apologetic note and ran away. Come on, man. That's just...
No,
at
at
least
least-
this person is a marginally good writer compared to the other
What, the
3
Fleabag
that
one?
I listened to.
New Girl one was pretty bad. Fleabag was pretty bad. What was the third one you listened to?
I'll have to think about it.
The woman scoffs at Eve's bitterness. I doubt she is getting married as some sort of passive-aggressive ploy. You don't know my mother. Laughing again, the woman leans forward to look Eve right in the eye. I like you. I am glad that you let me buy you a drink. Eve drains the last sip of her Negroni until every trace of red is gone, and the ice cubes clink as she slams down the empty glass. I notice that particular sentence shows up in any fan fiction that involves drinking. No one puts their glass down. They go, bam.
Yeah, they slam the glass
Slam,
down.
yeah. I have a deep need to dance until I can't remember my own name. Care to join? She stands and offers a hand to the woman, who lights up and takes it excitedly. Together, they push their way in towards the heart of the throng, where the dance floor must be, even though Eve can't see where the carpet gives way to hard wood with all the people on top of it. Do you remember going to see Little Women? And then at the beginning, there's that thing where she ends up in like that kind of Irish jig circle.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can think about right now. It's just that in colonial clothing doing the dance. As they reach the dance floor, the music shifts into something faster, with cascading synth that sounds familiar to Eve, though she can't name it. But the younger woman's face lights up with excitement. Eve feels the buzz starting to kick in, warming her veins, making her face tingle, and she surrenders. She lets her own unwashed hair fly free as she bangs her head to the beat, catching an occasional glimpse of the blonde woman through her flying tresses. What are tresses?
That's your hair.
Oh.
Yeah. Tresses of hair.
I thought for some reason it was your cheek.
What?
I don't know why.
That is very strange.
The only other time I've heard the word tresses was, I think, like a Scrubs episode, where he's like, don't let them see you something that caresses your tresses, don't do it, and he like does this. So I thought tresses was your cheeks, not your hair.
Oh, that explains why. Where you got the context from.
Tresses were caressing the cheeks.
Ah. Through her flying tresses. A dozen or so songs later, after drink number 2 is drained, Eve screams over the music, "I have to pee!"
True to how it is in a nightclub.
Or you just go, "I have to pee"?
Well, you have to scream everything because it's so loud.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone would want to meet someone to like date in like whenever I went to a nightclub, it was specifically to dance.
To dance,
yeah, that's it. Because like you can't talk to anyone, you can't meet anyone at a nightclub. It's impossible. It's too loud.
You were like, you went to like discos and stuff.
Oh,
and that
I was a huge disco queen.
That's
in
awesome.
the
70s and
mid 70s in Houston when I went back to live with my parents to go to nursing school, and I waited tables at Victoria's Secret.
What?
Not Victoria's Secret. Victoria Station. Sorry.
Okay.
I was like, they had food at Victoria's Secret? Do tell.
No, it was like it's train cars, and they only had male waiters. And I said, I want to be a waitress. And they said, well, if you can carry 4 track 9s to table 99, then you can do it.
I love this story.
I did it.
That's awesome.
Track 9s were what exactly?
Oh, disgusting. I mean, the people eat meat this big. Literally, it would
with
be
like
this
the bone
big.
through it.
Yes. And so, I had to have 3 on this arm. And no, it couldn't have been 4. It had to have been 3.
Yeah.
2 on this and this because they were very heavy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is too much
And
meat.
then one time I was going down and this man whistled at me and I said, "Excuse me, are you whistling at me?" And then he called the manager and he said, the customer's always right. You can't talk to them like that. And I said, "Fire me." And so then he said, "No, I'll make you the hostess." And that was my all-time favorite thing. When people would come in, I try to match what I sense their sensibilities to be with whatever waiter, then they would make the most tips, and then I'd get the most money.
That's awesome.
That's
really
pretty cool.
You're like a matchmaker.
Exactly.
I like how that particular interaction is still a thing today. Customer's always right. I'm calling the manager.
Right.
Karens, all that good stuff. Let's see. I have to pee.
Oh, but wait, the discos. So
then
then one of the waiters was gay, and then we started just going out, and then he took me to gay bars, and then I lived in New York for a month and was at Studio 54.
Seriously?
I had a very wild young life.
Okay, this is next in. This is about as equal as the time I heard Dad was at Woodstock. This is pieces of history right here.
Right.
That's amazing. What's Studio 54 like?
It was amazing. That's when Grace Jones was there.
Oh my God!
And and I remember I had braided my hair and put it on top of my head. I only wore vintage dresses, and I was about as big as you. and this man came up and he said, "Darling, who did your hair?" And I said, "I did." I thought it was Fidel Sassoon, and everybody there was dripping in fame, and I was just like dripping in the music and the whole vibe. It's almost like they have a what do you call it? Balcony around the
where it's like
a grandstand. Well, I guess it's like an opera house.
Is it like you have the dance floor and then you have the
and then
thing
it
up
keeps
here?
going. Yeah.
And
so you can walk and dance pretty much everywhere. And some places are more open than others.
That's so cool.
It was very exciting.
I had literally never heard about this before now. Why
There are
didn't you
many
bring it
things you haven't heard about.
up? I'm working on it. I need to sit both of you down and I need a historical account and I need a personal account.
Just go on StoryCorps with NPR. It goes into the Library of Congress.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What do you mean you go on StoryCorps?
No, the point is you go on with your family.
Oh, okay.
And you basically tell it's usually a grandparent or a parent to the children.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just start talking. Yes. I don't know. They started it obviously way before the coronavirus.
Yeah.
When we go to the museums, a lot of times they'd have a little booth there, and it would be for StoryCorps, and anybody can walk in and do it.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
So
That's very cool.
they're doing it,
Wirelessly?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Y'all should do
That's
that.
so
I
cool.
should do it with my
Studio
dad, too.
54.
It was cool.
Yeah.
That is
Very cool. And I love just being with gay men, only gay men.
They are
Because
fantastic.
it was like, I just felt like,
You married one once, didn't you?
yeah. I just felt like, well, he kept saying that he wasn't gay. And I kept saying, you are gay.
You're Mr. Clean. You're gay.
No, I could just tell, when you're in the street, like
Yeah.
a guy will
Gaydar.
look at a beautiful woman and you can just feel the body and the eyes and all that. But, yeah, so then after 3 years, I left him, and then he went to therapy, and he's one of my best friends still
That's great.
after all
That's
those
beautiful.
You have ridiculously good gaydar, and I did not inherit it at all.
years. Only for men, though.
Interesting. Did Phoebe get it in the gene pool?
I don't think that interests her.
Interesting.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's too loud to hear the other woman's response, but she makes her way out of the maze of the crowd. Eve senses her following behind. Girls always go to the bathroom together, don't we? Eve thinks. Do they? Yes.
No.
No.
Exception to the rule.
Some do. Some are very, they have to have somebody with them all the time.
Mm-hmm. Depends on.
Or could be coincidental.
Yeah.
Then you go together.
I've heard of menstrual cycles syncing up. I haven't heard about pee cycles syncing up.
Well, it's more like someone's like, I have to pee, and someone's like, yeah, I have to pee too.
Yeah.
Or go to a movie and it's the first thing you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Except for Atlas. He goes in the middle of the movie always.
Do you?
Kind of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That sucks. You have to miss the.
I know,
middle
and
of
I
the
go,
movie.
how can you? I would just rather suffer.
I can kind of
Yeah.
tell when something boring is happening, and
Oh, I would.
okay, example.
highly
I saw Little
contest
Women
that.
in the theater 3 times. Fight me. And and I, of the times I missed because I had to pee, I didn't miss anything important.
Or you
on
timed it
subsequent-
so it wasn't the time you peed in the previous
Exactly.
Yeah.
screening of the film.
Yeah. So you get the whole thing. The third time was I went on a date with somebody and she's like, I want to see it. I'm like, oh, I've never seen it before.
You lie?
I lied. It's a good movie. My 2 problems are Emma Watson's American accent doesn't work, and
I
why
know,
do they
for
choose
me.
Bob Odenkirk
But
for the
why
dad?
did you?
Why?
Here's the thing. Here's the problem I have with that. Why would you lie? Why wouldn't you just say, "Hey, why don't we see this movie? I saw it before and it was great, so I would love to
Because
see it again."
When she was picking movies she wanted to see,
Mm-hmm.
she said Ad Astra, which if you've listened to this podcast before, you know I hate with a burning passion. And I was like, I've seen it before. She's like, okay, then we won't see it. So I knew that if I said I'd seen a movie before.
But
She
you
didn't
could
wanna
have
see it.
been honest with her and just been like, "I've seen this before, but I really want to see it again."
I figured it was easier.
Nope. Honesty is always the route to go.
Okay, except the first time I slept over at her apartment, her fire alarm went off, and then she broke up with me a week later, which, yeah.
What does that have to do? You think she set the fire alarm?
No, I'm saying, she said, all right, Gary in the basement, hit it.
She was texting, "This is my out."
No, I think she saw it as a sign from the universe that I didn't belong there.
Oh, well,
You know.
Atlas, that's such a stretch, darling.
Okay.
And as far as honesty goes, I've been working on him since he was little.
I'll keep doing. I'll help you with
Good,
that.
thank you.
Nice to know.
Next time, tell her. Next time you go on a date with, not specifically this girl,
Yeah.
but any girl you date, just be upfront. Be
Yeah,
like, I
especially
love...
because that was lauded to not go over well with the male species. So the fact that you had seen it once and liked it
Yeah.
would have been
Saw it 3 times.
Three
Liked it
times.
Yeah, there you go.
Once with
The
you,
third time
once with
was
you
with
guys,
her.
once by myself, once with her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Women. All right. The club bathroom is surprisingly fancy. Underneath the soft, incandescent light, they wait in uncomfortable silence to make their way through the line. They get to know each other better, but the other woman seems to have reached the same conclusion Eve has, and they've moved past that part of the evening, and now it's simply a waiting game. The other woman has hardly dried her hands when Eve is upon her. She reaches Eve's kiss warmly, passionately, her lips welcoming it as if to say, "What took you so long?"
Been there.
Eve vaguely registers a few gasps and nervous laughs from the other woman in line for the bathroom as they part, allowing the other woman to back Eve up against the wall. Okay, I've lost it. I can't... They said other women so many times in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of repetition of words in here.
Yeah.
And run-on sentences.
This is it. This is exactly what Eve came for. Someone to give her one hot night, never to be seen again.
Oh, she wants a one-night stand? I guess she does.
This random Russian world-traveling businesswoman who makes Eve feel sexy and powerful and like she still has 1,000 years ahead of her. Eve throws her head back against the fancy embossed wallpaper as the woman covers her neck in kisses, hoping the impact will knock all thoughts of tomorrow's family meal out of her. At some point, they make their way back out onto the dance floor, but Eve doesn't remember how, since her field of awareness is limited to only this woman's presence. Those lips, those teeth, those cheekbones.
What?
Those tresses. No, the strong fingers running through Eve's hair or slipping downward towards her hips to guide her body closer to the woman's own. This is, sad to say, the most physical contact Eve's had with someone else in months, and she doesn't know the woman's name. She could not be any happier in this moment. But God, as good as this is, it brings out the hollow inside her that feels that hookups are not enough, that does want capital M more. Crack my knuckles at that. That was nice. There is part of Eve, a part she smothers and suffocates because she finds it wholly embarrassing, that does not want someone to spend her nights with, to wake up next to marry.
No, put that away. Tonight, marriage and weddings and her family don't exist. All of that crap will come back to haunt Eve in the morning, but for right now, the only things that matter are right here in front of her. Blonde hair and hazel eyes, and Jesus Christ, that body.
Is that Kelly Clarkson?
What?
Hazel behind these hazel eyes, isn't that?
Oh,
her? Why am I making 2000s pop star references? What have I become? Just continue, sorry.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I mean, fun fact, last night while I was looking stuff up, there was an AMV of Behind These Hazel Eyes for Miles Edgeworth, and I did not watch it.
Don't ask.
Anyway, the noise, the lights, the drinks, they all fade together into an indistinct wash of pleasure until Eve, blissfully, mercifully, forgets why she came to the club in the first place.
So, that's at a chapter break, but it also means that we're going to have to wrap up, unfortunately. We won't get to see.
But so was the point of this person who's writing it because Eve was engaged to be married to that very nice man that she is married to in the show.
In the show,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So I'm assuming this is just indulgent. Someone wanted to write about two
Gay
two
women.
That's what fanfic's for. It's to change what you...
Or to take two
Change
characters
what
that
is.
you already are familiar with and put them in a situation that wouldn't occur in the show. Like, this person likes rom-coms, so they wanted to make a rom-com with these two characters.
And with surprisingly little murder.
Yes.
This is usually when I ask, how would you punch this up, you think, from what you've heard so far?
Like if I was the writer?
Yeah, or how would you... are there any things you would fix, or...
If you were an editor.
If you're an editor,
Oh.
like you are...
I was going to say, I'm not a
is.
writer. um, you know, as I said, it was just compared to the other ones that I listened to. I thought it was fairly good.
Yeah.
Relatively good.
It's unfortunately we're so far in. I'm not changing the name of the podcast, so still bad reading whether it's good or not. That's
The bad reading is that we read it badly.
yeah. There
Better
we go.
things. Better things.
So I think that about does it for this episode. This would normally be where I asked Mom, where can people find you on the internet? But you don't have social media, so
What does that mean? No, I don't. I don't do Facebook.
that's what I'm saying. Usually, if it's a comedian, like, where can people find you? And they go, oh, you can find me on Twitter here, Instagram here.
You can find me on my website.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an RN private patient advocate.
And that
Westside,
is
www.westsidePatientAdvocate.com. And if you Google my name, you'll see the whole Jay and I and the garden at Bundy that we did when you guys were little.
So a patient advocate is, for those who don't know.
Well, it's a new profession. We're pioneers. There's about 350 RNs and doctors doing it in the country, and about 1 million non-medical people that have somebody in their family who had cancer or whatever, or surgery or a bad medical experience, and they realize that, it takes more than one to get through the system. And it's so complex now, so that's
like
what I do. I just I'm, as Atlas calls me, I'm like the Sherpa that gets them through the medical experience, whether that's from beginning to end or just a piece of that, and then they come back. Some patients I've been working with for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, that's nice.
Patients with rare diseases. My favorite are the ones in the intensive care. But then
Because
they can't follow you around.
No, because it's the most interesting. And then I have to do a lot of research and
research is fun.
Oh yeah, it is my porn.
Mine too.
Good to know. Chris, where can people find you?
Stolen_relic on Twitter and Instagram. And also, I'm going to shout out to Marissa Hull, who made this mask. We're going to put a link in the description to where you can buy masks from her Etsy store.
Rewashable, reusable. Let you go to the Ralph's without getting kicked out. COVID-19 masks.
I know that a lot of people are doing it on Etsy for like $25, $30, but she's only charging $10 because she thinks it's
mask.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's charging $10 for the cost of just like the materials and yeah.
Yes.
Then there's a high school boy who I think lost his hearing in one ear, and he designed one with plastic, which I want, of course, because it's all about red lips.
Yeah.
Plastic here, because people that are hard of hearing or deaf, elicit a lot of the conversation by reading lips.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And also expressions. Not everyone smiles with their eyes.
Example.
That's true, yeah.
And then people are trying so hard to convey that smile with their eyes. So, and he's not charging anyone.
Touche.
Oh.
I had Springtime for Hitler stuck in my head a couple weeks ago because Dad made me watch The Producers, and of course. So I was singing it to myself, and I realized if you're a patient at the doctor's office I work at, it's probably incredibly scary to just hear Springtime for Hitler kind of wafting through the halls and not knowing who it's coming from. Because no lips.
Because you're all wearing lips.
Because we're all wearing masks.
Yeah.
Wearing lips.
All right, and then you can find me at Atlas Novak, Twitter, Instagram, or you can find this show at Bad Reading Pod on Twitter or Instagram. Everybody, thank you for listening. Leave a comment or whatever. Happy Mother's Day. Wash your goddamn hands and have a good night, everybody.